Yo, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm profiling one of my favorite decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is UA, or Ultra Athletes. UA is actually quite an old archetype already. It debuted as a TCG exclusive back in 2014 together with the Burning Abyss. However, this deck never really got any support after its final wave of TCG exclusive support, I believe around 2015. While it did it needed more support badly, and the archetype was incomplete as well because the UA have like every level, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of them are supposed to have two monsters of the same level, but we never got the second level 4. And I believe we also missed out on a second level 8. But with the new support for UA that's coming out in Phantom Rage in a few weeks, we get some really solid support with Libero Spiker, Playing Manager, and the Hyper Stadium. You will see their impact in the replays I will be showing, but first off, I'm just going to go right into the deck ratios. So, 3 Libero Spiker, which is very important for you to open with, and it's gotten a lot more consistent. UA midfielder is still very important to run at 3. For a while there, I thought it was unnecessary because having 6 normal summon monsters seemed like it would be a bit too much, but believe me, it's even really good to have both of these in your hand just because you're so easy to have them swap out on each other, and it's really nice to have access to both of them. 3 Perfect Ace. This is a little bit of a personal choice. I really like going first with this deck, and if you hard draw the Perfect Ace, you won't have to search it out with your other search card, so you can reserve those searches for other UA monsters. So I really like drawing this and having it at 3, but you can choose to run it at 2. Playing Manager is something that I saw a lot of people run at 3, but in my opinion, that's incorrect. You can either choose to run this at 1 or at 2, because at 3 you will be drawing multiples of them in your hand, and sometimes it'll happen that you'll draw these two cards, these Playing Managers, and you won't have any of the starters in your hand, so they're just bricks. These cards, they're not starters, they're extenders, and without your starters, they can brick pretty badly. The thing is also, it's really easy for you to get this into play, and having one around for rotation is more than enough. It's very recurable from the graveyard, so having one is fine. Same goes for Dreadnought Dunker, which is your finisher and your offensive guy, and Rebounder, which is there for the grind game. All of these 3, the Rebounder, the Dunker, and the Playing Manager, are extenders or cards that you want to use turn 2. You don't really want to draw them in your opening hand, so that's why you run them at 1. 3 Ash Blossom, because it's really nice to have this as a second negate together with your UA Perfect Ace. 3 Extravagance, because we don't really care about the extra deck. 2 UA Signing Deal. In the past, I did run this at 3 because you needed the consistency that badly. But the thing is, it's not amazing, and it is a hard once per turn. So having multiples of these can sometimes lower your first turn ceiling. So it's okay at 2. Foolish Burial Goods recruits your best cards, which are your Hyper Stadium and your UA Stadium, which are amazing cards, and I wish I could run more field spells. Obviously, you run the Terraforming. Running the set rotation, I've tested it, but it doesn't really work out too well. 3 Impermanence for going second, but also having extra negates, and this is something I really like in modern UA. Dogmatic Punishments, because you really don't need your extra deck. You've got the space in your extra deck, and you don't mind being locked out of your extra deck. So there's no downside to this card. And having this on your first turn together with a UA Perfect Ace means you got 1 Omni Negate and a double popper. So that's really good for a deck like this. UA Penalty Box is your main searcher with the Foolish Burial Goods, but you can also really pitch it really well with Perfect Ace for good card economy. I'm running the 1 UA Power Jersey, but you can also choose to run the 1 UA Turnover Tactics. I guess it's a little bit preference. In the past, nobody used to run Turnover Tactics, but it's gotten a lot easier to activate this card with the addition of the new cards. But I guess the UA Power Jersey requires less cards for it to be effective, so I think this is still the better choice. Rota is really good because you can recruit your libero spiker or midfielder, and this is basically a flex spot. It can be whatever. Ghost Ogre, any other hand traps, whatever you feel like. The extra deck, it's preference, but I really like having some super polymerization targets. These are for the Dogmatica Punishment. These are to counter Dogmatica decks, so you can dump a Cyber Dragon Nova to the graveyard when they activate Maximus, so you can summon the Mechaba. This is you can sometimes go into this with your midfielder and your Libero Spiker. Same goes with this to outcard like Dragoon, and you can sometimes you want to go into one of these when you're up against a field that you won't be able to get rid of, and you want to have some card economy, or you want to run over something so you can still banish another threat. In all honesty, it could be more super polymerization targets if you wanted to, and same goes to this. I really think that the only really important cards in this extra deck are the Starving Venom and the Elder Entity Entis. Cards I've considered are Gamma, Ghost Ogre, like I said, the Turnover Tactics. You can run a Dogmatica variant with the UAs, it works. I've seen some Mystic Mind builds, which also can work quite decently. Some other extra deck cards that you can choose to run. This is actually quite interesting for a going second option because while you won't be able to do damage, UAs are quite decent at getting rid of monsters that are on the field, as long as they won't be negating you. So you can negate your opponent's entire field and start destroying them with things like Playing Manager, with UA Dreadnought Dunker, or even with Turnover Tactics. These are all just really good going second cards that you can choose to run your side deck, and if you do so, I would advise on playing the Power Jersey, because if you red reboot them, you can just go in for the kill without being disrupted by trap cards. So these are the deck ratios. I'm feeling really comfortable with this deck list, and if you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask me in the comments. Other than that, let's go into some test hands and duels.